Released in 1996, Scream didn't just revive the slasher genre, it completely changed the way audiences viewed horror movies. Directed by Wes Craven, the film arrived at a time when slashers had become predictable, using self-awareness, mystery, sharp writing, and brutal suspense to reinvent the formula for a new generation. What made Scream stand out wasn't just Ghostface or the violence, it was the way the movie understood horror fans, horror rules, and the psychology behind surviving a nightmare. At the center of the story is Sidney Prescott, a teenager still grieving the murder of her mother when a masked killer begins targeting her and the people around her in Woodsboro. But beneath the scares, Scream is really about trauma, performance, media obsession, and the terrifying realization that danger can come from the people closest to you. In 1996, Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson partnered together to create a masterpiece in what we now know as Scream 1996. Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, When a Stranger Calls, all these movies walked so that Scream could run. And the 30-year run it's been of folks donning the Ghostface costume and offing locals for the sake of their own entertainment, vengeance, or envy. And here we'll be panning all the way out, rewinding back to the beginning, where we'll be breaking down each movie's opening scene, their suspects and the tropes that they explore, the plot, the mystery and suspense, as well as the final act reveal. If you are new here, welcome to my small little corner of the internet. My name is Nathania Ray, also known as Scream Chats here on YouTube. I love talking about things that make you get scared, whether from fear or frustration. And in today's video, we will be talking about Scream 1996. Now, this is part one of a long series. There's 7 movies altogether in this franchise. We will be breaking down each of those 7 movies, and then there will be a long retrospective video where all 7 of them are covered all together. Let's get into it. Scream 1996 opens up with our ever-loved Drew Barrymore playing Casey Becker. She answers a phone call, and at first it seems like it's just a harmless wrong number, but after the caller continues harassing her, and it seems like they are seeing her in her home. They call her Blondie, they know what she's doing, they're asking her questions about her favorite horror movies while she's preparing for her horror movie night with her boyfriend Steve, who's on his way. After it becomes pretty clear to Casey that the caller is actually targeting her, they start making her play some movie trivia. And they ask her, for example, who is the killer in Friday the 13th? And she incorrectly says it's Jason. Guys, the first killer in Friday the 13th, if you know the killer in the original Friday the 13th movie, comment it down below. I'll give you 3 seconds. 2, pause the video if you need to. 1, the killer is Mrs. Voorhees in the first movie, guys. Oh, I cannot wait to see the Friday the 13th TV show streaming. If you guys are excited about that, let me know, because I am definitely going to be talking about that TV show as it's airing and premiering. I'm so excited. You see, I can't even talk. That's how excited I am. I love the Friday the 13th movies. They're so goofy, and just, if you guys don't know, again, if you're new here, I love horror movies. I love to get scared. I love dissecting all the drama and trauma that, you know, takes place in horror movies. If you are someone who can relate to that, then you should definitely subscribe to my channel, because we have got so much to chat about. Anyway, Casey incorrectly answers Jason Voorhees as the killer in Friday the 13th, and that costs Steve his life. Now they are trying to ask her more trivia questions, and she is obviously distraught from seeing her boyfriend's gut on the outside of his body when they definitely should be on the inside. And in retaliation, the caller breaks into her home, chases her around the property, and strings her body up to a tree for her parents to find. Oh my gosh, from the very first scene of this franchise, it is brutal. This opening scene is still, in my opinion at least, one of the most iconic horror openings of all time. I still get chills when I watch it. There's also, the rewatchability is pretty high too. In the beginning, when she first gets the phone call, she's walking around her house, just, home alone doing bullshit, and she turns on her back patio light. Everything is a-okay when she does that initially. Then she's on the phone, she's making popcorn, she's walking around, she's yada-yadaing. The caller starts being creepy and, unhinged, and she realizes, oh no, something's wrong here. But by the time the caller tells her to turn on the back patio light, her boyfriend Steve is already tied up in the back. So it's really fun when you're rewatching it to kind of try to see, when did this happen? The caller is on the phone with her during this time. So I always try to catch those little details when I'm rewatching, because Wes Craven, RIP to that man, he was so good with the little details. I just loved how mindful he was when making decisions for his direction. And plus, the pure terror and desperation portrayed in Barrymore's performance, it was phenomenal. On top of that, the scream from Casey's mother when her parents find her body, leading to the title card, it set the tone for a truly devastating masterpiece that is Scream. I just want to say, if you have not seen these movies, they're available on Paramount Plus. I think 1 through 6 right now is available. Scream 7 should also be available very, very soon. We shall see. Fingers crossed. I 1000% recommend watch these movies for yourself. But if you don't want to, it's fine. I'll break it all down for you. Presumably after Casey and Steve's demise, Billy Loomis sneaks through his girlfriend Sidney Prescott's bedroom window to flirt with her and be weird, saying that the exorcist had him thinking of their relationship and he's horny, but she won't let him smash. We find out later that she feels sexually stunted due to finding her mother's dead body in their home the year prior. She saw a man leaving their home, who she later testified was cotton weary, and her testimony sent this man to jail. The morning following Casey and Steve's deaths, we are formally introduced to the entire friend group and the suspects by proxy. So this includes Billy, the boyfriend who snuck through the window, Sidney, our protagonist, our main character. We've got her best friend Tatum and her boyfriend Stu, and we've also got Randy. When you consider the horror trivia, the phone stalking, and all that stuff, Randy is pretty suspicious because he works at the movie store. And Stu, played by Matthew Lillard, Jesus, that man is yummy. But anyway, he recounts all the details that he heard on the news or from the police or from the grapevine about the murders. He talks about it like he's recounting the events of his favorite Christmas memories. Like, it's kind of weird. But Tatum, his girlfriend, played by Rose McGowan, she does alibi Stu, so for now we're crossing him off the suspect list. Sidney is obviously framed as the chaste final girl, so she's not really a suspect. And Billy, he's just suspicious as hell. And it's easy to just put him in the red herring category because he's just too emo anonymous, man. One of the reasons that Scream is such a gem is that it's a meta slasher whodunit. The characters are aware that they are in a horror movie and one of them is the killer. Randy is the one who calls this out immediately and often reminds the audience as well as the other characters of the trope rules. Sidney was attacked in her home the evening following Casey and Steve's murders. She's being asked horror movie trivia similarly to Casey. The difference though is while Casey played along initially, Sidney immediately is like, no, I'm not doing this bullshit with you. Play with somebody else. She kicks at the trope of people running up the stairs rather than out the front door when there's a killer in the house. She even calls the killer's bluff, basically saying that he's a piece of crap taking advantage of the tragedy for a laugh, just for him to bust out her closet with a knife and chase her upstairs to her bedroom. And that's exactly what I'm talking about with Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven. The way that they do things is just phenomenal. She literally just called out that trope. It's some stupid big-breasted girl running up the stairs when she should be running out the front door. And then what does Sidney do? That exact same thing when she's put in that position. It's just so good. Sidney does manage to call 911, and Billy, suspicious as Loomis, he pops up through her window again, just like how he did the previous night. A cell phone, which is apparently very suspicious for teenagers to have in the 90s. It falls out of his pocket, and now Sidney is looking at him like, "Are you the killer?" And she figures that he is, so she runs away and gets him arrested for the murders of Casey and Steve and attempted murder on her. Lo and behold, though, the cell phone records did not match, so Billy is released the next morning. Instead, the calls were coming from Sidney's dad's phone. The dad we haven't seen since the night Billy broke into her window the first night. In that interaction, Sidney sees him sneak through the window, she screams, and her daddy comes through the door, but Billy hides under the bed. Her father explains that he'll be gone for a couple of days, he's going on a business trip, and if she needs anything, let him know. He's staying at this hotel, she can reach out if she needs to. So now, Billy is released from jail. The calls are apparently coming from her daddy's phone, which is like, what the heck is going on with that? Sidney's just going back to school, hoping that everything will be okay. Billy was released from jail, and at school he attempts to have a heart-to-heart with Sidney that just results in him telling her that she needs to get over her mother's brutal-ass murder and give him some coochie. He talks about how his mother abandoned him and how he moved on the same way she needs to. Rightfully so, she tells him to go to hell before meeting Tatum and Stu outside, who invite her to a party that Stu is hosting later that night. There are many references to Sidney's mother's death throughout the movie. It's first mentioned when Tatum tells Sidney about Casey and Steve's murders.
I mean, Dewey was saying this is the worst crime we've seen in years, even worse than... Well, it's bad.
The same thing happens between Principal Hembry and the police before she's brought in for questioning.
Who's up next?
Sidney Prescott. She was daughter of Sidney. Thank you.
We've got Deputy Dewey Riley, Tatum's older brother, investigating with the sheriff's office, and Gale Weathers, an investigative journalist, using him to stay ahead. Somehow, they end up developing a romance despite his complete incompetence. Anyway, we see news reports and hear from Gale, who claims that Cotton Weary, the man that Sidney testified to seeing fleeing the crime after her mother's death, yeah, Gale swears up and down the West Seacoast that this man is innocent, and she calls Sidney out, labeling her a liar flat out to her face, and the new killings even have Sidney second-guessing herself. It's clear that her mother's death is somehow linked to the new string of murders. The only question, though, is how. We got some great set-piece kills with the Principal Hembry, Tatum in the garage, Kenny the cameraman. And after Sidney finally decided to give her virginity up to Billy, there he goes, getting stabbed up too. And almost Randy on the couch after the party stragglers fell for the diversion at the school, the diversion being Principal Hembry's body hanging up on the football field. Each of these deaths feel unique, they're all very suspenseful, and it's so easy to see why this movie is such a cult classic. Just like the opening scene, the final act killer reveal is a crucial part of any Scream movie. We've had a proper bloodbath at the party with Tatum's death and Billy getting stabbed up after Sidney finally caved and gave that boy her virginity. She watched helplessly as Gale's cameraman got his throat slit. She watched Gale drive her news van off the road and Dooster got as well. Eventually, Sidney discovers the killers to be Billy, who faked his death,
corn syrup. Same stuff they use for pig's blood in Carrie.
and Stu.
Surprise, Sidney.
They even confessed to murdering Sidney's mother the year prior, framing Cotton Weary with the help of her eyewitness testimony.
You'll never get away with this.
Oh no. Tell that to Cotton Weary.
To add even more insult to injury, they had her father kidnapped this entire time and was planning on using him as a scapegoat. He was tied up in the basement. Now, the intention was to sell themselves as sole survivors of the spree brought on due to the stress of his wife's murder. Gale Weathers, though, the bad bitch that she is, I haven't spoken too much about her, but I will talk about her at the end during the whole character moment. But she survived that little tumble off the road and found Dewey's gun She don't know how to use the gun, but she distracted Billy and Stu long enough for Sidney to grab a phone and get her father to safety. Then Sidney called the phone and told their dumbasses that she called the police and reported them. Billy was going ballistic, tearing furniture apart and cussing the girl out on the phone. Meanwhile, Stu is bleeding out because they decided to stab each other to sell their story before getting rid of all the witnesses for reasons unknown. I don't know. They're dumbass teenage boys. What can I say? Now, Sidney, our lovely final girl, she was able to spin things around and almost defeat the guys, but Billy did get the upper hand, and Gale, again, my bad bitch Gale, she was the one who saved the day after she figured out how to work Dewey's gun, of course. But remember, guys, this is a meta slasher whodunit. The characters are very self-aware, so Randy warned Sidney and Gale, like, listen, don't get too close, be careful, because these killers, they always come back for one final last hurrah. Billy does kind of pop back up, but Sidney gets him right with the headshot, okay? She says, not in my movie, bitch. Can we get a round of applause for the gals and Randy? Kevin Williamson based Stu and Billy on the real-life queer killer duo Leopold and Leob. In terms of Stu, he didn't really have much of a motive other than wanting to make Billy happy and enjoying the act of murder in itself.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. It was fun.
Billy, on the other hand, was a spiteful psychopath.
Your secret mother was fucking my father. She's the reason my mom moved out and abandoned me. How's that for a motive?
He probably would have gone on a spree at some point regardless of whether or not that happened, but I think Billy just wanted a target and an excuse, and conveniently he found both of those within Maureen Prescott. In hindsight, the Casey and Steve kills in the opening make a lot of sense. It's discussed very early on that Casey dumped Stu for Steve and Billy helped him exact his revenge. And I'm sure that those delinquent ass little boys had plenty of reason for wanting to get Principal Himbry out the way. They just badass little teenage boys at the end of the day. Plus, they did use his body as a diversion to get all of the straggling party goers out of the house so that they could have all the privacy they needed to tear shit up with Sidney and whoever else was left at the house.
Hello? Yeah? Shit. No. Listen up. They found Principal Henry dead. He was gutted and hung from the goalpost on the football field.
What are we waiting? Let's go over there before they pry him down.
According to Randy, there's always some reason to get rid of your girlfriend, so there went Tatum out the window or out the garage doggy door.
Why would he want to kill his own girlfriend? There's always some stupid bullshit reason to kill your girlfriend.
They couldn't have planned for Gale because Gale wasn't supposed to be at the party. This is a high school party, teenagers. They didn't know Gale was going to be in there hiding cameras in the party and sneaking around with Dewey and try to solve the mystery. She was a complete wild card to them. They had no way to plan for her. And so if she hadn't been there the way they planned for it, they could have gotten away with it. Now let's get into the character section. We'll start off with Randy, who is my second favorite character in the entire franchise, by the way. We'll get to number 1 in Scream 2022, but for now, let's discuss Randy. He clocked Stu as the killer in his first scene.
Hey, Stu, didn't you used to date Casey?
Yeah, for like 2 seconds before she dumped you for Steve.
I thought you dumped her for me.
I did, he's full of shit. And are the police aware that you dated the victim? What are you saying? That I killed her? It would certainly improve your high school kill.
Stu was with me last night, okay?
Yeah, it was. Was that before or after he sliced and diced?
Then he clocked Billy, noting that Sidney's father was a red herring.
I'm telling you, the dad's a red herring. It's Bill.
He was the one who gave us the rule book to horror slashers, teaching his peers how to survive beyond the third act.
Don't you know the rules?
What rules?
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie. Number 1.
you can never have sex. Number 2, you can never drink or do drugs. And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, say, I'll be right back.
Overall, I love this character. And I'm so glad he survived until the end. On first watch, I have to admit, I thought Dewey was the killer. But he's just stupid. His choices made him so suspicious. First, he showed up at Sidney's house, the mask covering his face after she were attacked as if he was trying to scare her again. Tatum was an asshole to him, so here's his motive for taking her out.
Hey, Dewey, can we go now?
Hold on a second.
God damn it, Dewey.
What did Mama tell you? When I wear this badge, you treat me like a man of the law.
I'm sorry, Deputy Dewey boy, but we're ready to go now, okay?
Whoa.
Take him out the back way, avoid that circus.
Come on, touch me.
He's my superior.
Janitor's your superior.
There was a town-wide curfew, and he drove the most recent target and his little sister to a house party in the middle of nowhere, and then he left the party to go mac on Gale. And even if Ghostface did show up to this party, say he didn't leave, what was he planning to do? That man didn't save a single person.
Sidney?
Dewey!
We didn't even get a scene of him finding his sister's body. Like, there was no acknowledgement. There's barely an acknowledgement at all. Even in the next couple of movies about Dewey and Tatum, I don't think it even gets brought up again until 2022. But yeah, in this movie, Dewey was too busy getting run off the road by teenagers that he allowed to drink, by the way, and pretending that he couldn't make out with Gale because he was on duty. He is so irritating and useless. He's a police officer though, and he's supposed to make people around him feel safe, but that in itself is the commentary, because in most scary movies, the police are either useless or corrupt. But listen, this is only the first movie, so let's stick around and see if Dewey gets better over the years, okay? Miss Gale Weathers is my gal, okay? I don't care if everyone on this planet calls her a selfish bitch, because she is. But if Gale Weathers has no fans, I'm dead. You know why? Because she's a selfish bitch that saved the goddamn day. If it wasn't for her being so obsessed with solving Maureen Prescott's murder and freeing Cotton Wary, even though her intentions were not entirely altruistic.
If I'm right about this, I could save a man's life. Do you know what that could do for my book sales?
Her actions is what resulted in saving the day. And if it weren't for her, Billy and Stu would have gotten away with everything and Sidney would be gone. This is the beginning of a long road for Sidney Prescott, and I think that the introduction for this character was great. We get this girl who's struggling with finding her mother after such a brutal unaliving. Her boyfriend is pressuring her for intimacy, and she's grappling with whether or not promiscuity was the cause of her mother's untimely demise in the first place. She decided to be vulnerable with Billy, her boyfriend, sharing her fears about becoming her mother if she were to give in to her desires. Of course, he takes advantage of her and immediately uses it as justification to take her life. The poor girl really just went through it. But despite the odds being against her, Sidney used any opportunity that she could to thwart her attackers and come out ahead. She was the one who ended Stu with the TV and gave Billy the final headshot. It was her first time shooting someone in the head, but guys, I fear it will not be her last. Overall, Scream 1996 holds a very special place in my heart. This movie was written by Kevin Williamson as a love letter to horror movies, and as a mega horror fan, I think that's probably why I love it so much. I will be doing a Ray written Scream series, and this movie is just so good, I won't even include it. I have nothing to rewrite about this movie. I think the only thing I may have changed if I were writing it is I would probably have framed Randy over framing Sidney's father, because I just feel like Randy would have been easier to sell as like the criminal that they were trying to sell him to. I know that they wanted Sidney's father to seem like he had snapped from the anniversary of Maureen's passing, but it just never really kind of sat well with me, that motive. So
how do we know you're not the killer? Huh? Huh? Hi, Billy. Maybe your movie freaked mind lost its reality button. You ever think of that? You're absolutely right. I'm the first to admit it. If this were a scary movie, I'd be the prime suspect.
That's the only thing I would really change. It's not really worth an entire video over, but yeah. The next video will be covering Scream 2, so make sure you stay tuned for that. If you like this video, you'd love the one up on the screen, go ahead and click that one for your next view. Thank you guys so much for watching to the end, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!